everybody. It's Sophie and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and we're doing a spoiler uh, podcast today on the stand. And do you want to start? Or you want me to start, Marco?
Well, I'll start. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was Randall's plan and God's plan. Now Randall's plan, he came to Earth somehow. It's not explained. He he made the disease, made everyone get the disease, and almost everyone died. And then he created that utopian land in Las Vegas, and he's planning on bombing the free zone full of the people who survived who aren't on his side. So what's he gonna do after that? And why was that his plan in the first place? I mean, what's his ultimate goal? And if he's the devil, then how did he get on Earth? So that's what I wanted to bring up. And then I also wanted to talk about the stupidity of God's plan, because his plan was very confusing, very convoluted. It's really it's a crappy plan. I mean, anyone could have come up with a good plan. I mean, all it takes is a nuclear warhead apparently to kill him, and so you have all this crap leading up to the nuclear thing, when really, I mean, he could have just driven the nuclear warhead into the penthouse, or he could have had the guy put it in the penthouse, or he could have put it there himself. But for some reason, everything had to be in a certain area. Like, why did those guys have to die? Those guys, the good guys, the fat guy, and then Larry, and then that old guy in the jail cell. Why did he have to die? Who knows? So, both of them had plans that were very weird, very random, and not really that good plans. What do you think, Sophie? Do you agree with me that they both kind of had awful plans filled with like unnecessary stuff?
Well, I guess it's like having red herrings in a mystery story. You have to do certain things to, as a writer, to throw people off a little bit. But still, you're right, because according to Marco, he's read that the devil guy, that same devil guy, Randall Flagg, shows up after this is all over.
Yeah, the ending of the book is he washes up on some sort of an island, and these tribal people come over and take him out, and he's still alive. And so God's plan was a failure. And so now that leads me to believe, oh, that was just a part of God's bigger plan, or God misestimated the devil.
Underestimated?
The devil. Yeah, I was watching W yesterday, and you know how George W. Bush misspoke constantly, and one of the things he said was, "I will not be misunderestimated," and so that's where I wasn't trying to do. Uh, okay, so I mean, a nuclear warhead in the movie apparently it kills the devil, but in the book it doesn't. And I really don't think it did in the movie either. I just didn't think they had enough of a budget to do the last scene, go to an island and do all that stuff. So I really think that both of them had terrible plans. I could have come up with a better plan. which is weird because you think that God's plan would be the best plan.
Well, it was because they got rid of him.
No, they didn't.
Well,
Not in
they
the
got rid
book.
of him out of that area.
They quote got rid of him. I mean, he's gonna. Who knows what? That's another thing. What's his plan? What's he gonna do now in the rest of the world? Is he gonna release another virus? What's he gonna do?
Did he release the first one, or was that really an actual accident that he capitalized on?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, it's not too far off that there could
How
have
did-
been a containment breach.
How did he get on Earth in the first place?
Maybe he's always around.
Why is it that God isn't on Earth, but he's on Earth? I mean, come on. Another thing I wanted to bring up is Nadine.
Ugh.
Her character was kind of annoying, but she was fine. I didn't find her too annoying. But what bothered me was she constantly flip-flopped. One moment you're supposed to feel sorry for her because, I don't know, because she's scared or because she's taking pills and she's really a sad story. And then the next thing, she leaves that guy because she's dreaming of Randall Flagg and wants to be with him. And they constantly try to make you either like her or dislike her. And they do it over and over and over again, to the point of where I did not care what happened to her at all. I mean, at all. And then I was kind of glad when she killed herself, but I was weirded out that Randall couldn't see that she would do that.
No, he underestimated her.
He misunderestimated her.
Ah,
So next thing, obviously, after you watched my first review, is Rob Lowe. He was completely wasted. Basically, his sole purpose was to get to get Tom to the people because he's mentally challenged and he can't get there himself. And so I really feel like his life really almost had hardly any purpose, and that I wish that that he would have been utilized more. Again, that coincides with God's plan. It's convoluted, full of unnecessary crap, and part of that is Rob Lowe dying. I much rather would have had Larry the singer die. I thought since Nadine left him and how she didn't like him and she was mad at him, I thought it would have been cool for her to pull the trigger on the bomb and then go like, yeah, F you, Larry, and then he gets killed instead of Rob Lowe. But then again, I guess maybe the reason is because he can talk, and so then he can protest to the bad guys, which is another thing. There's no stand-in. I mean, they're standing, sure, standing in a very small way. The group of three, after Gary was left, they stand up to the bad guys and get arrested, like they're at a civil rights rally in the 60s. And then that one bad guy stands up at the end, but I was expecting them. It's called The Stand, and so I was expecting some grand scale of that stand-in, and I didn't really get that. I got more of a fizzle, a whimper
I
stand-in.
don't think a nuclear or an atomic bomb exploding is exactly a whimper.
No, I'm
It's just
talking
not
about.
It's just not the ending
What
that
are
you were
you're
expecting.
screwing up the microphone. You're screwing up now.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was talking about the stand-in, the act of standing. It's called the stand.
Yeah, but it's a metaphor.
Trash can man is not standing up to anyone.
No,
He's mentally handicapped. He doesn't know what he's
he's
doing.
dying.
I'm talking about, like, I thought that, and here's what would have been better. I thought it would have been cool if the group of four if they stood together, that they would all get supernatural powers so that then they could fight Randall Flagg. Or maybe all of Randall's people turn against him, and right before he's gonna kill them, the four stand together and it creates a shield so that he can't kill his own people. Or maybe the nuclear warhead goes off and they create a shield by standing and holding each other's hands. Something like that. But no, the only thing that they do is they stand up to the bad guys and get arrested. To me, that was almost kind of it fit in with the theme of surrendering to God's will, like with not bringing any food and not bringing any luggage. But I thought it was very wimpy, and again, a part of the convoluted and unnecessary plan that ultimately was useless. Okay, we already talked about it. And another thing is Gary's sudden psychic powers. You remember these, Sophie?
Mm-hmm.
The moment when Harold dies, Gary Sinise suddenly gets psychic powers and he says, "Oh, Harold, I feel Harold just died. Oh, a gunshot. Harold died. I can taste the gun smoke in my mouth." And so I thought that was very weird how he suddenly got powers like that. It did not fit.
Well, so did Nadine, in a way, because right before Nadine commits suicide, spoiler, she tells him, the devil, Randall Flagg, that the people are not going to stick with him, that they're starting to talk and how they don't like to follow him, that they want to do something else. And I thought she was, at first I just thought she was making it up because she's really not a nice person. Like Marco and I were talking about earlier, I think she's a sociopath. I don't think she has any empathy for anybody. And even worse, she was having dreams with him because he wanted her to be his mate or something, his goddess. There was another name he used. And even with that, she really wasn't loyal to anybody but herself. And I don't even know if she knew what she wanted. She was very confused, but still, I don't think she had any empathy for anybody. So when she said that, oh, the people are not going to follow you. They're starting to break away. There's talk. I thought she was just making that up, but she was actually right. So where did she get her psychic powers all of a sudden? So because it ended up near the end. They're in Las Vegas, and there's one of the bad people, and right when they have the 3 out of the 4 people from the good guys who make the stand. They're chained up or locked up or handcuffed or whatever. They're going to kill them, and all the crowd is there in the street, the bad people crowd in Las Vegas. And one of the main bad guys who's been doing things for the devil or whatever he was, he said, "We don't want to follow you anymore. We're tired of this. We don't agree with what you're doing. This isn't America. This isn't what we're about," or something like that. And I think everybody else is either they're not with them. Of course, there would be people who wouldn't be with them, but I'm sure there were some people who were. But they wouldn't admit it. And the devil ended up cremating him.
But you're missing the scene of where the guy from Twin Peaks was talking to that other guy about taking a plane to this small island, or to Brazil, I mean, and asking him if he wanted to go there and escape
the same guy.
There. And he didn't take it. So they were talking like that.
And so
I don't know.
talking. So Nadine.
I don't know why she got that sudden psychic power either.
Yeah. So there's another.
You could call it plot convenience.
I don't know. I don't know all that technical.
Because all it would have had to have taken for me to believe that she didn't have power was if she stayed for more than a day with him. Because
But
then
she didn't.
well, I'm saying if she did, then she would have been around those guys and heard them talking, maybe, and that would have been fine with me. Another point, like my last point or two I'd like to bring up is what's happening with the rest of the world. England, Canada, Japan,
Mexico, South
China,
America.
Russia, North Korea, South Korea, all those places. We don't know what's going on there, if I'm correct. And it would be very weird if, like, everyone in the world died besides these American people. That'd be very weird. These American people, they're the only ones with immunities. How did the virus? Is the virus in other countries? I mean, what's up with that? So there's a lot of this stuff that could be explained in a sequel, like this question in particular. And then I wanted to give a little suggestion or two, like I already have with the standing and the powers. I think that Stephen King is so anti-religion. To subvert expectations and to do something really different, it would have been cool if the group of 4 people, if Mother Abigail was wrong about them, and like really they were, and so what happens is they leave and then they all starve to death because they chose to listen to this blind faith instead of doing what would have been more reasonable. And I think that would have been a much darker and much more interesting path that he could have taken, especially since he's so anti-religion. And I think it would have been really cool. It would have been like, wow, those 4 people who you thought were going to be the heroes, they're all dead now. So what are your points, Safi?
Okay, well, I have more basic spoilers.
Okay.
First of all, when those people at the gas station get exposed to that virus, the town is locked down, and they take all the people into this army facility or whatever, and then it ends up, Gary Sinise is in they change him, I guess they put them in this Vermont disease study facility, and anyway, what happens after that? Well, we're hearing all the long range stuff, but ends up Stu, or Gary Sinise, he ends up being the only one left alive. All the people who work at this laboratory, they're dead, but he barely gets out of there, and it was a good thing that he had a dream from the God lady, because she warned him that they were going to try to kill him. And there was one scientist left, and he was sick. He was about ready to die. But this is what I didn't get, why he did try to kill Stu, but Stu, he was in such weakened condition. Stu was able to fight him off, and then he left, and there were dead people everywhere. He just barely got out. So everybody died there, and that's how he got out. And then he ends up, they all trek to first Nebraska, and then all the rest of the good people go to Boulder, Colorado. And why is that? Stephen King wrote this story in Boulder, Colorado.
Are you going to get to the surgery part? Is that what you're talking about?
Surgery?
Yeah, in part 3 when there's that guy randomly laying on the ground and he's like getting his appendix taken out and he dies.
God.
Yeah.
I didn't I thought that we watched this on YouTube, and the way they had it, each part was recorded by itself. So I watched the beginning of this like 3 times, thinking, where's the rest of the movie? Because all of a sudden on part 2, they open
Part
up
3.
Part 3.
It's a flashback. Because at the end of part 3, everyone arrives, including him, and part 3 kind of goes back a little bit.
Well, see, Marco knows better than I do. They're trying to perform these people who know there's not one medical, which is really odd. But it's not all of them either. There's not one medical professional amongst them. And Gary Sinise he's still a leader. Somebody has an appendicitis and needs their appendix out, and he's doing surgery on, but he passed away, probably had a ruptured appendix. They were going to do a surgery and take it out. And so I'm like, who's this?
Yeah.
And what's going on here? I was so confused. I just thought, because sometimes these YouTube videos are not perfect, I thought that they had left off part of the movie.
Really, the TV people did, because they couldn't fit that in. They had to cut stuff out. Well, Stephen King did, because he wrote the screenplay. The teleplay.
So that was an odd, very odd thing. Okay, well, so anyway, it ends up being at the very end, the way that the good people have to fight the devil, Marco has alluded this several times, is 4 people are selected to go. One's Gary Sinise, then there's this big farmer guy who was the one who picked up Tom Cullen and Rob Lowe and gave him a ride to Boulder. And so he's one. And then the professor, it's Ray Walston, who has the dog. And then the New York singer, who was with Nadine originally, and now has another lady.
That Ray guy, he was like the only part of Fast Times at Ridgemont High that I liked.
So just these 4 people, which surprised me and Marco.
Yeah.
In a way, I thought they were, as one of the things I thought they were going to do, besides Marco saying, well, if it was just going to be these guys that were going to link together and have some kind of force
really
superior to everybody.
They could have fought him hand to hand.
But no.
Supernatural power.
It was just these 4, and it ends up, it's not the 4, because Stu, they have to go down this big hill, and he breaks his leg. So he ends up staying behind, and the dog is with him, and the other 3 go to Las Vegas by themselves. And then...
The reason that you could say that happened is because Tom is mentally retarded, and he needs to find his way back to home.
Yeah, they told him...
Gary will help him.
He was hypnotized to spy on the devil people, and then when the moon was full, because he likes the word moon, he thinks everything is M-O-O-N, he says it often, he's supposed to go back to the good people, return to them when there's a full moon. And it's really a foreshadowing, because on his way back, who does he come across? Stu, with a broken leg. And so they both go back together.
So this guy who's supposed to be the main character, he ends up breaking his leg, and
he's not involved in what happens at all.
Not doing anything.
he breaks his leg, and the dog and the 2 guys go back. But what happens? Here's another spoiler. A couple of them. Stu gets sick. He gets that sickness. And he's been immune, and this is what's weird. He's been immune the entire time. And why does he get sick all of a sudden? Does he have the same sickness? I believe so. That's what it looked like. And Marco and I think just because he fell and broke his leg, and when they went out and embarked on this journey to Las Vegas, they didn't have any food and water, so they had limited food and water, so he compromised his body so much, and compounded by that breaking of the leg, that it made his immunity go down, and that's how he managed to catch it. So it looks like he's going to pass away. What happens? Here's the next spoiler. I'm not going to do any more.
Rob Lowe comes back
as a ghost in a dream,
and gives Tom the medicine. Well, shows him where to get the medicine. And so, was this the same medicine advertised at the beginning of the movie?
I don't know, but I thought there was no medicine to cure anybody.
Remember how that old guy was watching television and they were advertising that flu buddy? Was that the
Oh,
medicine?
I don't know. They
I
never
don't
said what
know.
it was. It just Rob Lowe. They don't even show where they go to get the medicine. Tom Cullen comes back. He says goodbye to Rob. He goes, and he has this medicine. He gives it to us to forcibly because Gary Sinise's character is so weak, and he just doesn't feel well to eat or drink anything. He forcibly gives him the medicine, and it doesn't look good. And then he lives, and they go back to the whole group. And anyway, I think that's enough. But you'll really enjoy. I think you'll really enjoy it. There are a couple slow parts in the development of the story, but stick with it because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Rob's character dying is the only disappointment in the whole story. Well, he's the big disappointment because
For both of us, because
the,
we liked his character.
the third part really let down. And if it wasn't for how good the fourth part was, I wouldn't have even given the movie a good rating because the fourth part really brought the movie back.
Oh yeah, I better bring this up. I remember that we had Shirley. This is her favorite movie. She said that Trash Can Man in the book. Now, see, she's read the book. Neither of us have. But she said Trash Can Man had a much bigger, more developed character in the book. And she almost thinks maybe he was short shrifted in the movie. But anyway, that's what she said. And
When they make the series, they should have that guy from Hell on Wheels play Trash Can Man, the sweet guy.
oh, yeah.
He'd be a really good Trash Can Man.
And she also did not care. I probably already said this though. Molly Ringwald's character, she really hated her role in the movie, or her in the movie, playing the role of that Francine.
She's not the worst Stephen King female character.
No,
I mean,
I
there's
don't know.
Carrie's mother.
Ugh. Ugh. So anyway, unless you have anything further to say, maybe we better wrap it up.
Well, I thought that was fun discussing those things. It really, I think this discussion was a lot better than the review because in the review I said the movie has all this great setup and then it's let down by the execution at the end because of Stephen King's usual sort of underwhelming writing. And underwhelming writing meaning underwhelming choices and like choosing for the four characters to be kind of useless in a sense. So I think this really demonstrated that.
Okay, well, I think we're done now.
On Thursday, we're doing Thinner. And we're not going to do any spoiler discussion thing. This was special because this is a TV series, mini-series. I wasn't able to do it on Sunday because of my bowling tournament. I was just so tired, I couldn't even think. So, goodbye everybody!
Bye, see you soon.